Todd, 1 minute rebuttal.
If I stood here and told you that every one of my 6,000 votes I cast was absolutely the right vote, I think you'd know I was pretty disingenuous. And if I didn't tell you that, my mom's here, she would. I'm not perfect. Do I think highly of every vote I've cast? Of course not. But I can tell you, based on the information I knew at the time, I cast the vote that I thought was in the best interest of our nation and you. The Bridge to Nowhere is a good example. I didn't vote for the Bridge to Nowhere. I voted for a transportation bill that included, buried in it, language that talked about building a bridge from point A to point B. Rick Santorum, Mike Pence, strong fiscal conservatives, they voted for the same bill because it was buried in there. When we found out what the Bridge to Nowhere really was, buried in that bill, we voted to repeal the authority because it was wrongful. Was the first vote one I'm proud of, given what we found out was buried in there? No, I'm not. But we learned from the mistake of that first vote and corrected it and took that authority away from the state of Alaska.
Mike, 1 minute rebuttal.
I'll respond to the last phase of this question with regard to what would I intend to do to rein in this unethical spending. And I think there comes to 2 points. First, I would absolutely advocate for a permanent ban on earmarks. What Todd just described to you is exactly the problem in Washington, D.C. today, where billions and billions of dollars are buried in what appear to be good legislation. We must eliminate permanently, not just 1 year, Todd, but permanently eliminate earmarks. The second element that I think to rein in this irresponsible spending is to pass a balanced budget amendment. Each and every one of you, each and every one of us, we live our lives. We can't spend more than we bring in. Why should the federal government be any different? Thank you.
Todd's asked for an extra 1 minute, and Mike, you'll have 1 minute to respond as well. Todd?
Thank you. I believe actions speak louder than words. I've been fighting for earmark reform for many years. I've been posed an advisory board of community leaders, bipartisan throughout the district, to review any requests we got. But the truth is, while my opponent's standing here against earmarks, in 2008, he supported an earmark request that came to my office for the Goodling Advanced Skills Center. This year, that same center that his organization is affiliated with officially asked for an earmark. And imagine my surprise in this year's earmark request when I got an earmark request from a for-profit company that had a letter of support in the packet from my opponent supporting the earmark request. Actions speak louder than words.
Mike, 1 minute.
He's right. Facts are facts. Up until 2008, the congressman opposed earmarks. In 2009, he requested $132 million in earmarks. One was for $250,000 for a ballpark in the local area that had very special infield dirt, $250,000. And now in the middle of a re-election campaign, he once again is opposing earmarks. It's either you're for them or you're against them. We're not sure.
Okay. Todd, 1 minute, and Mike, you'll have 1 more minute.
Clarify the earmark request from last year, $132 million. Overwhelming majority of that was defense related. For example, one earmark, $72 million for BAE systems, for equipment for the Army and Marines from a local manufacturer, something that was important to our military. That gets charged to me, but it's not really an earmark for something in my district. It's for the troops, and I'm proud to stand by that. I didn't request that, actually, though. The way I've done it is I've put together a citizens board that reviewed the merits of all those requests and then made recommendations, and what we accepted were their recommendations. I didn't alter them. It's what the citizens group said we think is worthy of requesting. That doesn't mean they get any money. It means they request it. But again, this year, an earmark request came to me with my opponent's letter of support attached this year.
Mike, 1 minute.
Each department of the federal government has the opportunity every budget year to request appropriations, request money for projects that they believe in. That's what should be debated on in Washington, whether or not it's yes or no. But the process is, as the congressman describes, after the department submits their request, well, now we're going to slip some things in. things that are important to my district, things that are important to me, might help me to get reelected. That's the problem. I'm not suggesting that the $72 million project for BAE Systems was not a good project. I'm not suggesting that at all. All I'm suggesting is that the process, by attaching it to a different piece of legislation, is the cause of this irresponsible spending in Washington.
Todd's requested another minute. Mike, you'll have another minute. Todd, go ahead.
This is a good education how Washington does work. It's not attached to another piece of legislation. That request will be part of the Defense Appropriations Bill. And what happens in the military category especially is the department submits their request to the White House, which forwards their request to Congress based on what the White House thinks. There's many issues or many requests that the Army, the Marines, the Navy say they need, but the White House, for whatever reason, chooses not to. This White House has a different approach on military needs than the previous administration did. So there are many things that the Army has said we need, the Marines have said we need, that this White House may not request. Members of Congress work with our military to look at what their actual needs are and seek to meet those needs. So it is a partnership, not Congress deciding on our own. It's partnering with our military leaders for what's in their best interest.
Mike, 1 minute.
I guess we're going to have to disagree because we want to move on with the program. But I'm of the opinion that the earmark issue is something that is very critical to reining in this out-of-control federal government. We must get back to the basics. $250,000 for special dirt for a baseball field is totally unacceptable. It's unacceptable to me, and I hope I find it unacceptable to you.